everyone, welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm your host, Che Durena. She came, she saw, and she stood in front of the world leaders and let her thoughts fly about climate change. I don't care what your opinion on her speech was, you have to admit that what she did was brave. For a 16-year-old girl to stand on a global stage and demand that her voice is heard, that takes some guts. And she got bullied by world leaders for doing it, which is like, come on guys. Even if you don't agree with her, she's a young girl, at least try to be nice. And frankly, I don't know if she's right. People are talking a lot about climate change, but I'm not a scientist, I don't know anything. All I know is that I want to go to the gun range a lot more, so if everything goes to hell, no one's gonna get my stockpile of canned beans. If the apocalypse is upon us, I'm gonna go hide away in a bunker and catch up on my gaming backlog. But just to scare you a little more, we're bringing you today's list of top 10 Greta Thunberg warnings about climate change. As always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Also, check us out on Instagram and Facebook for added content, and make sure you stick around for the end of the video because I'm gonna be reading out comments from the top 10 scary haunted amusement parks video. And without taking any longer, let's get into this list. At number 10 we have "We'll be watching you." That was the first message that Greta sent out on the world stage. She let every single one of the people in attendance at the UN and the millions who watched online that the young people are keeping an eye on them. What does this mean? Logically, it means that young people will hold the old fogies in power accountable for their lack of action against climate change. But what it might mean is purge. Yeah, world leaders, if you don't fix climate change, we're all gonna purge everything. Everyone's gonna be running around in the streets with their genitals in one hand and a machete in the other. You better stop polluting or we're gonna have blood in the streets and a CEO's head on a pike. Well, I mean, probably not. But I'm allowed to dream of the sweet purge future that I crave. At number 9, we have "the children will suffer." Okay, she didn't use these exact words, but I'm summarizing. Basically, she's saying that if nothing is done about this greenhouse effect that is drastically changing the world, then it's going to be up to the younger generation to fix it, which totally sucks. It's like if your parents burned down your childhood home and then they asked you to fix it, and your parents aren't really gonna be there to help because by the time things get really bad, they will be long gone. It really makes me not want to have kids at all. Well, I already didn't want to have kids, but now when I say I don't want to have kids, I sound like I'm some altruistic saint who cares about the planet when really I just don't want to share my Doritos with anyone. At number 8, we have "ecosystems are dying." If the science is right and the earth continues to heat up at a steady rate, then we can say goodbye to a lot of the animals. Many of the ecosystems on the planet are very sensitive, and a drastic change in the planet's temperature will mean that so many of them are gonna be adios. In places like the Arctic, we'll lose polar bears because they have no ice to hunt on. In the oceans, we'll have mass die-offs of fish because the waters will become too warm. And even things like cattle and chicken will die away because our environment will become too harsh to produce feed. Which brings us right into our next point. At number 7, we have food shortages. Most of the produce we grow and consume needs a proper climate and fresh water. If the earth continues to spiral, we will have a difficult time trying to produce the same yield that we're used to. Which means purge! I said it, I'll say it again, you guys better start stockpiling bullets because if this 16-year-old girl is right, we're gonna be fighting over salami in the streets like it's worth $10 million. It will be the $1 million salami wars. The rich rolling around in salami while the poor are dying for just a waft of the delicious cured meat. But seriously, there will be no food or water. Tell your loved ones that you love them and then make the tough decision of starving to death or beating people with crowbars so you can get a scrap of bread. At number 6, we have cutting emissions in half isn't enough. A focus among world leaders has been to cut carbon emissions in half in the next 10 years. If this is done successfully, we could stop the world from overheating past the 1.5 degrees Celsius point. If we can keep the earth below that threshold, it's thought that we can stop the spiraling conditions and maintain a nice happy home for all of us and keep living peacefully. Well, if the world countries were able to do this, it doesn't guarantee that we would be in the clear. It would actually only give us a 50% chance of stopping irreversible damage done to the world's environment. So basically, major companies need to cut how much they pollute in half, and that would bring us within a coin's flip of saving the planet. And on top of that, we would still need to suck tons of carbon out of the atmosphere for this to work. And that tech isn't even fully functional yet. I really hope the scientists stop working on sex robots and figure this one out. At number 5, "we will never forgive you." Obviously, she doesn't speak for every young person, but when she said "we will never forgive you," I felt those words ripple. The new generations are going to be pissed to have to come up in a world that has been destabilized by lack of foresight, especially when the answers are laid out in black and white right in front of you. Once again guys, get your purge uniforms ready because you're gonna want to look good when you're burning down government buildings on live TV. At number 4, many are suffering so few can prosper. It's one of the classic nomenclatures. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Of course, life isn't this clear cut. When you see opportunities, it's up to you to take them, and there are aspects of life that are totally in your control. But I also know that the super tankers sailing through the ocean, which pollute as much as every car in North America, aren't putting any money in my pocket. The CEOs of every oil company aren't flying me to work in a helicopter when I'm late. There are people who have power beyond our conception that are taking advantage of our habitat to rake in huge amounts of money. And if the science is right, they are doing this at the expense of all of us being able to live in a stable environment. I mean, how big could my carbon footprint be? I only own one fork. At number 3, we are running out of time. Based on current carbon emission levels, it's estimated that we have 8 years left before permanent damage is done. Only 8 years to figure out how to stop producing so much carbon on an enormous scale and change how we live our lives. 8 years for major companies to completely revamp their production process and create new, cleaner methods of developing products. Holy crap, that's a tight schedule. It takes more than 8 years to build a good franchise team, and we gotta save the world. We have to figure out how to make McDonald's stop polluting. That's like raising Michael Jordan from scratch in just 8 years. But we don't really have a choice, unless you want to go break into people's houses and steal their rations. I'm just saying, the purge sounds a lot more fun and a lot easier. At number 2, we have the people have the power. I mean, it's kind of true. If there is a 1% who has most of the money and they're doing most of the polluting and taking most of the resources, we have the other 99%. That's pretty much everyone. I think if we decide to take the power back, we would probably win. I mean, some of us are going to die in the battle, but I would rather die fighting for freedom than die from dehydration. And think about it, who are we going up against? Like, I've never driven a tank before, but I'm pretty sure I could drive a tank better than the billionaire Hillary Clinton. I've got 24 years of gaming experience. Tank controls are probably in my DNA. But let's be serious, every time you spend your money, you're voting. Through the power of your dollar, you can influence these massive companies and hopefully edge them towards a cleaner future. At number 1, we have mass extinction. We like to think that nothing is really going to happen, that the effects of climate change won't hurt us, that we'll figure something out to stop the imbalancing of our surroundings, and maybe we will. Maybe science will prevail once again and save us all from having to confront the horrors of famine and war. But gigantic destructive forces have devastated humanity before. There has been the Black Plague, the Spanish flu, World War I and II, and yes, humans have always made it out to the other side, but it repeatedly comes at a massive cost. Each one of these events has cost millions of lives, and we might be on the horizon of a cataclysmic event that will ravage society and destabilize everything we've built. The world would be rocked, and if some of us survive and look back on these days, they will make fun of us for being so foolish because we have the answers in front of us. And for anyone at home who is saying, it won't happen to me, how do you know?
Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money.
Alright everyone, that was pretty dark, but as I promised, we are going to be reading through the comments from the top 10 scary haunted amusement parks video. Maybe this will be a little more cheery. Dennis Fisher Jr. wrote, "It's hard to enjoy a $15 sundae when a demon just rubbed his balls through it." That's a quote from the previous video. Then she follows it up with, "Me wondering what if the demon is female." Good point. I guess she would run her labs through it? I don't know. Lil Lucy Chan wrote, "Ugh, I hate ghost kids." Me, they don't even have to be alive. I just hate kids in general. I'm an older sister. True, you can hate the living ones as well. Also, I feel sorry for whoever your younger sibling is. Like, my god, they don't even get any of your love. Lucinda K wrote, "Just because someone died there doesn't mean that it's haunted, but still, love this video." Very true. I don't know what the conversion rate on deaths to ghost is, but I would say having someone die on the property definitely increases the chances of a ghost coming to hang out. Well, that's it guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and as always, I would love it if you guys would like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Also, check out Most Amazing Top 10 on Instagram and Facebook. It's a great way to get to know myself and the other hosts a little bit better. Until next time, I've been Shade Arena, and message me on Instagram if you want to join my cannibal army. Bye! you.